I think that is something that is very scary when meeting new people, is that you don't really know what their intentions are. But you kind of have to be the best judge of character that you possibly can. And you can definitely tell when someone's putting in the same amount of effort to, be in your life than that you are, or if they're just trying to experience the feeling of you.
Welcome to the Sweet Talking Podcast with your host Nepherti, and it's great to be back. Those of you who know, you know. We're not going to go into details of why I'm back, but I'm back, and I'm very, very pleased to be interviewing a member of one of the communities I'm a part of, someone who has who's become a very close friend to me in a very short period of time. And tonight's going to be just really, us talking, hanging out, and just really having an honest conversation with each other, as if, like we always do, really. So before we get into things, I do want to thank you all for watching. First of all, thank you all for tuning in. And if you would like to support me, if you'd like to support what I do creatively and help me to make more content, and make my content better, I would very much appreciate you checking out my Patreon at patreon.com/Nepherti. Hey there, this is me, Nepherti, here, and I am making a video about my Patreon that many of you may or may not know about. YouTube is still hitting me with copyright infringements. Obviously, I want to have music on my videos on YouTube, so they continue to hit me with copyright infringements. I am now affiliate on Twitch, so I do get support on Twitch now, so that has changed. But at the end of the day, Patreon still gives a larger cut. So at the end of the day, I want to just reinform you guys. Many of you who may or may not know, you can take a look at my Patreon right now actually, at patreon.com/Nepherti. It'll be right at the bottom underneath my boobs. And basically, it's a great way for you to support me aside from, Twitch. And that's pretty much all. Patreon is a great way for you to support me in a more direct way, and also allows me to directly give back to you guys. I do give updates relatively regularly. So if joining me on the Patreon is something that you're interested in, you can do so starting for just $1. There are tiers in which I get to spend an hour with you one-on-one. It could be either on Discord or in VRChat. Whichever one you'd want, that's what we do. And I also do voice recordings also. There's the head pet tier, which is $1, the nuzzle tier, which is $5, the huggle tier, which is $10, the snuggle tier, which is for $20, and the uwu tier, which is for $30. So honestly, I didn't want to spend too much time on this video. I'm just kind of here, just being comfortable, whatever, but I just wanted to thank everyone who has already been a part of the Patreon up to this point. I truly want to give you my thanks for supporting me and allowing me to do what I do and, live in this nice, cozy room, largely free of most noise, and just be able to create things that I really, really enjoy creating. And so I'm so grateful to everyone who has been a part of my Patreon up to this point, and I hope that anyone who is interested in more tangibly supporting me, this is a great way to do it. I'm looking to revamp Distortio, or DTX for short, and I'm also looking to do a little bit of other content. So I really am looking forward to the future. I'm so excited about what we're doing, and I look forward to what we can create together. See you next time. And also, I want to just thank my patrons, my top patrons, all my patrons, rather, but specifically my top ones. I believe it's Apple, Nero, Ziggy, and there's one more, but I'll put the names down at the bottom. I'll actually start putting the names down at the bottom or something. I'll put them in the description as well. Vulcan, yes, Vulcan. Vulcan is a new one. See? I forgot, but thank you very much for reminding me. So yeah, I want to thank you all being my top patrons, my snuggle. Pretty sure that's the snuggle tier, the last one. So thank you so much for supporting my content and what I'm doing creatively. So yeah, with that all out the way, I think it's time to jump into things. So I'm joined tonight with another wonderful special guest. She goes by the name Alithe, but many people know her as Alithe. And we're gonna be just kind of chatting about stuff and things. Just kind of getting her feeling on what VRChat means to her, and the experiences that she has, the worlds that she has explored, and maybe how she feels about certain worlds. We're gonna talk about a lot of VRChat related stuff, and maybe dive into some nitty gritty personal stuff too. But we'll see how that goes. But not too deep, of course, not too deep, but we'll see. But of course, every one of my guests are, they're on this journey with me. So thank you for being here, Alithe. I appreciate you joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me. It means the world to me, honestly.
Yeah, it's so I guess we can kind of just start from the beginning, really. We basically met, what is it now? Almost a month? Nearly a month at this point. Actually, no, it's about a month. It's actually been a month. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, in that span of time, we've just become really good friends. We really just kind of hit it off, and it's just really been really been wonderful knowing you, through all of that. So. I just want to say that, first of all, people know that we're friends. So for people who don't know who you are, this is a great opportunity for you to, share your thoughts, share what you're about, and let people know, who is Alithe, who is Alithe. So go right ahead.
Well, my name is Alithe, and I can be considered a VRChat veteran. I've been playing since around 2018. I played mostly desktop, but I really got into VR within the last year when I got my headset for Christmas, and then full body in April. I've kind of just really dived into the rave scene, and just have been exploring the depths of what VRChat has to offer. I'm in quite a bit of communities as far as exploring worlds and just a couple different things that I like to do. But that's pretty much it. I like to spend time with my friends and just explore VR.
Cool. And so yeah, that's really, really great. That's those are very much aspects about you that I've gotten pretty familiar with. And so I guess, what is your favorite thing about VR? I guess, actually, wait, before we get into that, what got you into VR in the first place? How did that happen?
Honestly, I think that I was just looking for something to connect with people. I spent a lot of time in my younger years playing games that were mostly socially based. So I, was looking to scratch that itch again. So when I found VRChat in 2018, I dove right in and was playing, on desktop when it had pretty much first come out. And then, I took a break here and there. Actually, I took a pretty long break. And when I came back, it was because I was reconnecting with a friend who had moved away, and we wanted to spend time together. So that's what kind of got me back into VR, and haven't stopped since.
So it all pretty much began with just wanting to hang out with a friend, and why did you end up taking a break?
I just think I couldn't really get into it as much. I didn't really know how to upload avatars. I was having a difficulty finding like permanent friends. Like I'd go to like public worlds and be able to talk to people, but like I wasn't making like a friend group or anything. So I don't know. I think it was mostly just that and just like life. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely understand that. I think there are a number of people who have, they've jumped into VRC, maybe around the time that it just came out, and then they've found that they can't really find people that they vibe with, and then they end up kind of stepping away. I think I've interviewed a couple of people who've had those kinds of experiences before, and so I guess like your experience, I think would resonate with a lot of people because I think VRChat is pretty difficult to kind of get into. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of cultural nuances that go into like being like in VRChat and how people like communicate with one another, interact with each other. There's a lot to learn. It can be pretty overwhelming at times. Were you experiencing an overwhelming feeling from that, or were you was it just that you couldn't find people to vibe with?
I think that when you first get into VR, I think the best parts of VR are kind of hidden. They're hidden behind these communities. There's people who are in these private worlds that you can't be a part of. And so what I was finding was just that I didn't understand how to get into those communities and how to break through. So I was spending so much time in public worlds, and I know everyone knows how terrible public worlds can be. And they have their things that are awesome. Like when you go into a public world, you expect like children and just like memes and craziness. But I just think when you're looking for like genuine connections, when you're looking to make friends, going into those worlds over and over again can just feel like you're hitting a wall. And so once I finally learned how to like break that wall, that's when I really started enjoying VRChat.
And what was it that allowed you to break that wall? Like what was it that made that happen?
I had joined a public world with my friend Emily, and we had made a friend. And that friend kind of opened up VRChat to me, showed me different things, introduced me to more people. And that's kind of where my journey started, with just meeting one person who introduced me to more. So it really just started there.
That definitely checks out. I think for a lot of people, that's kind of that's the general experience. Like you're lost, you're just going to public worlds, and you're kind of like trying to figure things out. But you end up meeting a person or two, and then you meet more people, and it just kind of evolves from there. And you start to really figure out the kinds of people that you truly want to spend time with, and seems like that's really what happened for you, and that's basically why that happened. I assume after your break.
Yeah, that actually happened. I would say like back in October of like last year.
Okay. So, wow, that's relatively recent. Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So, with regards to VRChat and just having these kinds of people that you interact with, I guess what kinds of people do you find yourself vibing with best in VRChat? Because there are so many different people on this platform, as you mentioned. So I guess what are the types of people that you've kind of run into, and that's kind of fit your vibe?
I would say that the people that I have the closest to me are kind people. I really enjoy people who have this sparkle to them, this warmth. I find myself attracted to gentle souls, people who take care of other people. I think all of my friends are just the kindest, softest people that I've ever encountered, and I think that it makes them so much more human to me. that you can approach them with anything, that they're willing to help you. They're willing to have a conversation with you. They're willing to open up to you and be vulnerable with you. And they make you feel safe to do so as well.
Mm-hmm. So I gotta ask, like, so that would assume that you feel that way about me, that I'm a gentle soul. I'm not a gentle soul. I'm from New Jersey. I'm not gentle. I'm intense.
Oh, you're intense? Okay. Well, I agree that you can be intense sometimes, but you definitely have a side to you that is exactly what I explained.
All right. Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. All right, but yeah. I mean, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, I mean, the kinds of people that you hang around and that really vibe with you are the ones that, truly are going to be there for you. And, I mean, I definitely feel that. Like I am drawn to a whole slew of people personally, but there's definitely like certain people that are just like, that just kind of have that little spark that you mentioned, that really just kind of they have that little something about them that kind of makes you want to get to know them, and once you learn more about them, they're generally like really, really cool people. So yeah, it's really, 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 really great to hear. So wait, do you have something to say? No? Okay.
No.
Okay. So with that in mind, what's your favorite thing about VRChat?
I would say my favorite thing about VRChat is the experiences that you can make, the memories that you can make, and how substantial that they can be. I think that VRChat has something very special about it, where when you're with people, you really feel like you're with people, and you can. I feel like it allows you to kind of relax in the fact that, you're not actually face to face. There's definitely something, kind of that takes you out of it, but also still in it, if that makes sense. So it kind of takes away that that nervousness a little bit, where you feel like you can really connect with people in an environment that's more in your control. I feel like you can always leave. You can block people, but also, if it's too much, you can just, back out. So I think that for me, someone who's very anxious and very shy, I know that that's gonna come as a surprise, but talking to people is very hard. So for me, my favorite part is just actually being able to connect with people.
Yeah, that I think by far that is one of the best things that VRChat has going for it. Like it's very much it's a place where you can truly like actually feel like you're making friends and connecting with people in a meaningful way. And that kind of it's like you feel like you're face to face, but it's not quite there yet, which is that's always very much like the experience that I've had with many people, and that it really is what makes VRChat so special. I mean, it's not just VRChat. There's this Rec Room, and other social VR spaces. But let's just be real. VRChat is the better. The VRChat's the one where we're gonna find actual people.
Nothing really does it like VRChat. I think that it's the mix of the fact that the avatars. You can really just show what you want to appear to be. There's so many options out there. I think no one really does it like VRChat. It just hits right.
yeah, and I think I'm not sure about this, but I think VRChat was they're the first ones to kind of start the whole VR social area. I'm not 100% on this, but one thing is definitely for certain. They have attracted a large swath of creators, and VRChat does it so well because they've attracted so many creators, so many creative people who have, placed their heart and soul into creating avatars, creating assets, creating worlds, and there's so many talented people who use this platform, and I think that adds into the whole aspect of what VRChat does right, because to a very I guess reasonable degree, VRChat cares about its creators, and they highlight them, and so I think that's very, very important. So this is just the place to be if you wanna get to know people in VR and you have that controlled experience that many people are having. That's 100% VRChat for sure. And I do definitely want to talk to you more about like how you kind of like have established like your identity and how you're able to go into different worlds and have different experiences. We'll definitely get to that in just a little bit. But I want to know what is the thing about VRChat that you don't particularly care for, or that you think could be improved.
I would say, with just like real life, you're dealing with real people, and everyone is different. I think the thing that I enjoy the least is people who want to come into here and they want to make people's life as hard as possible, whether it's being really focused on the negatives like drama, really just making life harder on others, as far as say there's restrictions on a world for avatars and not wanting to obey their rules. I just feel like it's unnecessary. Drama and making a huge deal out of small things is unnecessary. We're all here to enjoy ourselves. We're all here to connect with people and make friends. And I just feel like the people who make that harder on others are not very nice. Not kind people.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And it's weird. It's weird, but also not so weird that people want to do that sort of thing, because ever since the internet has been a thing, I guess ever since humanity has figured out how to speak and communicate, people are always trying to make people's lives more miserable than they need to be. But it's especially true during now that we have the internet and we have VR, we have online communities, people just get their rocks off by making people's lives miserable, and it doesn't make any sense to me personally. But there are just some really sad people in this world, I think, and it's very, very apparent that they need a hug, because even though they're not nice people, but I honestly believe that those people are probably the ones who are hurting the most, and are just not having fun in life in general. So they have to share the wealth of their misery with everyone else, So it's pretty shitty stuff, pretty shitty. So I agree with you, 100%, obviously. But VRChat is definitely filled with just people who are just I'm gonna go into a public world and make everyone crash because that would be funny. So it's I'm gonna cause drama. I'm gonna be a drama queen today. I'm gonna go into a world and just make people's lives more difficult than they have to be because I got nothing better to do. So yeah, it's very sad, those people. But that's definitely something that is going to exist very much in VRChat, and I think in any social space, I would say, really. So, yeah. All right. So, I guess, what do you think about the whole enterprise of virtual reality in general? Do you think it's obviously since you use it, it has a positive aspect to it, but I guess how do you view VR as just a means by which can be used for entertainment, and do you think it's something that's going to be a very common thing in the future? Do you think we'll all be diving into very immersive experiences in the future. Like, what do you think about that?
I honestly can only hope for that. I've really enjoyed my personal experience with VR, and I really hope they can only take it further. I look forward to like the future of what comes, and I'm not someone who really researches into all that kind of stuff. I'm not a very technical person, and I'm normally pretty late to things. I literally just got my full body back in April. But I do think that the more that they come out with things, the more immersed it's going to be. And I do hope that it continues to expand, because I think it's truly a wonderful way to experience new things, because there's a ton of people in the world who can't experience, everything that the world has to offer, whether it's, they're like they are shut-ins, or they have something that's like holding them back from going out. This offers so much for them. So people with anxiety, people with depression, like it helps so much to get you, first of all, out of the sadness that is reality, and kind of plunges you into something that's fun, and it feels real. So
Yeah, I like the point that you made about how it can help people who are actually like physically unable to experience life, and like to just be able to like engage in reality in a way that would be that many people are able to. Having a platform, having VR to kind of facilitate that sort of atmosphere where they can be themselves and whoever they want to be, and be able to walk around and move around and jump and to connect with people, even like that whole aspect of it. It's VR definitely does wonders for many of these people, in a lot of ways, for sure. So yeah, I really like those points. Like, even for someone who isn't very technical, I think that's a very good observation. Like, it's definitely going to have value for people, like especially for people who are medical, or like who are like stuck in a hospital bed for however long. VR can be an escape. It can be an oasis for those who know the reference, to many people. So that's really that's a really great point that you made. I like that. So, I guess we can kind of go into. Let's talk about you. Because we talked about VRChat. Let's talk about you for a little bit. So where does your name come from? Where does your username come from?
well, my username is a play on the word life. And I really love the word life. It just kind of rolls off the tongue. It definitely explains me as a person. And the A was kind of just to make it more like like magical and like different. So.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's I really I have a thing for names. That sounds kind of weird, but I have a thing for creative names that aren't just the run-of-the-mill, the typical weeb names, like hardcore Naruto lover, it's like stuff like that. Like I'm just not, I'm not there for that anymore. I like. I like actual creative stuff. Like, people actually took time to think of their username, and I can just you as an individual, I can tell that you seek out meaning in a lot of the things that you do and experience, and I think that's incredibly rare. I don't think many people understand that concept. And it seems like, from what I've observed, it seems as though you kind of do that innately. Like, even with your name, you're just like, oh, I really like the name. I like the word life. I enjoy the meaning and like the atmosphere that brings, and even just like the nuances Like you can see the nuances in various things, which is, I love that. That's beautiful. I love when people do that. So when it comes to your, I know that you have a variety of different Abbeys. I actually didn't meet you in the one that you're in now. How do you go about choosing Abbeys that fit you? Like you mentioned earlier about people finding Abbeys that allow them to be whoever they want to be. So for you, like what is your experience with choosing Abbeys, and what characteristics are you looking for?
I actually said this really recently. I really look for a very soft and pretty face. So along with my name, what I wanted to portray was just someone who's very approachable, someone who's very soft and gentle, and I really like to just put that aura like out. So when I'm looking for an avatar, I'm looking for one that's very soft looking but very pretty, but also has a little bit of edge to it. I really enjoy like the eyes, just really really being able to like capture my emotions. I don't have eye or face tracking, but I think that a lot of avatars can get it really right without it. I look for something that the body moves really well, and just like the clothing in general has to be something that I would see myself wearing. So I look for something that will make me look as approachable and warm as possible, while also just getting me in my essence.
Yeah, that I can definitely see that. I can definitely understand that vibe. It makes perfect sense, and I think you do a great job at it. So I would like to ask about that desire to feel approachable, and soft. I know that those are characteristics that you personally identify with, and I would like to know exactly how being approachable. I guess how has that affected your experiences in VRC, and has being approachable been has it worked for you? Has it worked against you? What do you think about that?
So I would say that for the most part, I've only had pretty good experiences out there. I rarely find myself in situations that I don't feel comfortable in. I think that most people are still really nervous about just approaching strangers in general, rather even if they sound, kind or warm, or they seem interesting. I mean, I've definitely run into that. I see people out in the world, and I'm just like, they look cool. I've seen them several times. I'm interested in them, but I'm way too nervous to approach them. So I still think that plays into an effect with people. Because I actually don't get approached that often, funny enough. But when it does happen, I feel like my my experience has gone fairly well. But a lot of times, what I've noticed is that my intentions can definitely be misconstrued sometimes, and having to set boundaries early on into friendships has been something that I've had to become more familiar with, because people do find me to be quite intriguing originally from their first interaction. So I guess that's one thing that I've had to learn from just being an approachable, soft person.
Mm-hmm. And do you have are your interactions in real life similar to the ones that you have in VR, or if they're different, how so?
Well, the person that I am here in VR is the same person that I am in real life. I find that in real life it's a lot more difficult to navigate, actually, because When you're in a situation in your life, it's sometimes a lot harder to like walk away from those things. You see those people every day. There's no, setting those boundaries away. Things you see those people every day. There's no,
Oh. I think Ali lost her mic. I think. So let's we'll give her a sec. No worries, Ali. Take your time. So so we're just kind of we're working out the technical difficulties. Don't worry.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Okay. No worries. We can edit that out in post. So how about starting from the beginning? Like how we'll kind of go from the beginning.
Well, I think that, interactions with people in person are a lot different than interactions with people in VR. Setting boundaries in person is a lot harder for me. But I am the same person that I am in both. I'm still someone who cares about people. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I think that I try to assume that people have the best intentions. So it does get a lot more tricky to set those boundaries in person for me personally. But it does still have to happen quite often.
And there's something else that I wanted to ask in relation to that. Why do you think people find you intriguing? What do you think it is about you that makes people feel that way about you? Because like honestly, like if I'm being honest, like I know there are a number of people who depending on how close I allow them to get or how much they get to know me, they can sometimes I can sometimes just already sense that there's something there's like a growing sense of something there, attraction on their end. So like I'm just kind of acutely aware of just like how I conduct myself and everything. So I'm curious as to like what do you think it is like specifically about you that makes you so intriguing to other people?
I think that the fact that I am initially just very unguarded. I'm willing to talk to anybody.
Same.
Appear to be very shy and very like meek. So I think that, people are really attracted to that. I think that in general, I just kind of give off an aura of just like love and kindness. Just very, very soft. So I think that people are very initially attracted to experiencing that. Because there isn't a lot of people in the world who are like that initially. I think that a lot of times you have to kind of get through layers of barriers to unlock that level. But for me, it comes very naturally. I'm very naturally like affectionate and warm. So I think that attracts people.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Like and from my perspective, I definitely do see that. I see very clearly how people would find you interesting, attractive, just someone that they can be drawn to. But the thing about like that sort of thing is that I think those people who typically like immediately like find something like attracted to that, like they're attracted to what they feel. Or what they think about the person. They're not actually attracted to the person, they're just attracted to the idea, like the way that person makes them feel. They're attracted to the feeling that they get. They're not attracted to the person. So they want to keep the person around who gives them that feeling because it makes it, it makes them feel good. And very often, I would imagine very often it's very neglectful of your feelings and the things that you would like to have and appreciate. And I don't know, that sort of thing really just that rubs me the wrong way. Like, I don't like the idea of people, like, using people simply because the way that they make them feel. I think there should be something, like, more, like, authentic there. And it just, like, it really is kind of like, I don't know, it's wonderful that you are the way that you are. I think who you are naturally is wonderful, and that is extremely rare. And it's a shame that many people don't truly appreciate that. They just appreciate the feeling. They don't appreciate you. And that's yeah.
I definitely have to be careful, and it is something that I've learned, over time. I think that is something that is very scary when meeting new people, is that you don't really know what their intentions are. But you kind of have to be the best judge of character that you possibly can. You can definitely tell when someone's putting in the same amount of effort to, be in your life than that you are, or if they're just trying to experience the feeling of you. And that is something that has been a hard lesson for me, getting close to people who, they don't really want to be my friend. They just want to feel the feelings that I have to offer them, that warmth, that kindness, and that nurturing. So it is something that comes with having to set those boundaries and to try to, really see people for what they are. But I always try to see the best in people. And, I really do assume the best intentions. At least I try to. And if I feel like I'm being mistreated, that's when the boundaries come up. That's when you have to have those harder conversations. But I try to avoid those, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think most people are not too keen on conflict. I don't think people are like, hell yeah, confrontation. Yeah, I don't think that's like a thing that people enjoy. Some people do, but I think the majority of people would prefer to not have to have hard conversations. But you need to be willing to have those hard conversations to really get to know people, because it's through having those conversations that you actually figure out who they are. You understand, like, what they're about, and you truly see who they actually are under these certain circumstances. And that will tell a lot about people. Those who are willing to sit through the struggle and actually have the hard conversations, those are the people who are truly actually, like, willing to, who have the character to truly stick by you. And I think many people don't. I think many people do fall short in that regard. So it's very, very good that you've come around and you've learned these lessons. Like, can you share a little bit about how you kind of went about, I guess, learning those lessons? Because there might be people out there who don't quite know how to kind of, they may not have the same, like, immediate aura of just warmth and kindness that you just naturally radiate, which obviously I completely agree with. But I guess, how did you go about, creating or setting boundaries? Or, like, I guess, how did you get to a point where setting boundaries was actually, like that was the thing that you had to do? And how did you personally kind of, like, start to take the steps to do that and become that kind of person so you can keep yourself safe?
There was a point in time where I was spending, all of my free time, with people, whether it was in groups, whether it was, in one-on-one settings. I was spending all of my time, meeting people and trying to, nurture my friendships and build my friendships. but it was getting quite exhausting for me. I could feel what I like to call is like an energy sucker. Like somebody who just kind of takes and takes and takes, and you don't feel like you're getting anything back. Where you're not reaping the benefits of their friendship, they're just reaping the benefits of you. That's when I started to realize that there are going to be people out there who that's all they want is what you have to offer, and they don't want to give anything back. So when I start to feel that way, when I start to feel depleted by people, that's when I start to set those boundaries. I'll spend less time with them. You know, I'll let them know, like, hey, I'm just really not available right now. Especially when it comes to one-on-one time, I try to be more guarded with that one-on-one experience them more in like group settings instead. And I think what's also really important about boundaries is people knowing, what you're looking for in your interactions with them. So, hey, I can feel that you're, getting really close with me. I just want to let you know, I'm not really looking for anything more than friendship. These are the times that I'm available to you. Otherwise I'm doing my own thing, or this is who I am as a person. Please don't take this the wrong way, that kind of thing.
And of course, most of the time they do take it the wrong way, and then you gotta deal with that. And sometimes you don't even have to. Sometimes you don't even have to, because they just burn the bridge themselves, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that really shows you who you're dealing with then.
Absolutely.
And at that point, it's not my loss.
And it's good that you have that perspective, like having that perspective that it's not your loss, it's not your fault. Like you have the agency to set your own boundaries, and people should respect those boundaries. Like there are just so many people who don't understand the concept of like people don't have to let you in. Like people don't have any obligation to be close to you or to be anyone else. And there are just so many people who seem to lack the social know-how to actually like understand the idea that like, hey, this person feels a certain type of way, and I'm not helping to resolve that. I'm just looking for my own personal needs. But there's so many people who just don't get that. And it's appalling how many people are like that. And but I'm really relieved that the majority of your experiences in VR have been positive ones. But I'm sure like obviously, just with that aura that you naturally have, it's kind of inevitable that people will take it the wrong way and become that energy sucker and but I definitely do hope that like you find more people. I know you have a good number of people right now who like really respect you and who are really in your corner, me being one of them, of course. So yeah, like I hope that you can find more people who actually like respect you and understand that it's okay to set boundaries, and it's not an affront to them, it's for the person themselves. And that's just how if people are actually adults or not, if they're actually growing up, if they're actually mature. That's how you really find out, for sure. So with that discussed, let's talk about worlds. Let's talk about the worlds that you like to go to. So I guess I'm surprised that you didn't say that your favorite thing about VRChat is hopping, is world hopping. I'm surprised that you didn't say that. But worlds are very, very important to you, right?
Yes, but the reason why I didn't say that world hopping is my favorite is because worlds, to me, while exploring them, is very enjoyable, and one of my favorite things to do. My favorite thing to do, truly, is to find a world that is so memorable in the experience that you have with an individual, that world no longer is just a world, it's that experience. You see that world, you go to that world again, and all you can think about is that one experience that you had with someone where you truly connected with them. And that's what it really is for me, is finding that perfect atmosphere for a perfect conversation, for to really, open up to people and enjoy them in this perfect setting with perfect music, and nothing else hits the same, because there's so many worlds to me that are no longer just, oh, that's a VRChat world, that's a very pretty world. That's a conversation that I had. That's when I connected with somebody. That's when I really felt that person present with me. And that's truly what VRChat is to me.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to finding worlds that can facilitate these memorable experiences, I guess how did you get into? Wait, I guess was it initially apparent to you that VRChat could serve that purpose as essentially a gateway into creating an experience with people that you know? Was that initially apparent, or was that something you came to understand later?
I think it wasn't initially apparent. However, the world that I first met, the person who kind of opened me up to VRChat, was Dreamwaves. And so that world forever to me holds significance, because that is always tied to that person and that memory. So, that was my first experience with a world, meaning something more than just being a world or being pretty or being enjoyable. What really opened me up to, exploring worlds was, I actually joined a VRChat group that, really focused on just a group world hop event. And, there were so many worlds that we would go to, that we would experience all of us all at once, where, you were just building these experiences with these people. And it really inspired me to look at more worlds. At one point, I actually wanted to have my own world hop event and host something and be able to experience that with so many more people, experience what I enjoy about each world. And I think that I just think that it wasn't initially apparent to me when I first joined, but it became more apparent over time.
Cool. Yeah, that's a great answer. So I guess what do you can you give us a couple of examples of just, I guess, worlds that have a certain mood to them that you resonate with? I guess, I mean, they don't have to be anything popular, but do you have any particular worlds that just kind of they just hit right? I guess maybe I can rephrase this differently. Can you share a couple of worlds that have legitimate atmosphere all on their own, and that you personally would recommend as a place to check out and potentially have an experience?
Yeah, of course. So one of my favorite worlds is a world that's called Angst. And what it does for me, what the experience I have there is with this very moody world. It has rain. It's kind of cloudy. It has this beautiful dock over a lake. There's mountains in the background, and with little lights lighting up the mountains. So it's kind of you see out into the distance, a little town in the mountains, and then there's a little house. It has a little kitchen and a little bedroom, and for me, that world is a world where I met somebody who changed the trajectory of my life, who completely was our first time having a real conversation. And for me, that world is basically just a tomb, I guess, or something like that, where it just kind of holds that memory. And so I would say that is a very wonderful world to me. Another world that holds a lot of significance to me is a world called Phases. And I've had a lot of really good conversations in the world Phases. It's a very beautiful world. Again, it has a dock. It has like a gazebo. It has several like hot springs. And it's a very like purpley, like pink world that offers a great atmosphere to have like deep conversations. And I've had a lot of them there. So those are two worlds that really stand out to me significantly.
Cool. Oh, yeah, those are really, really, they sound like very, very fascinating worlds. Very, very like they have a specific atmosphere, and I imagine they also have good music, have certain mood setting music as well that helps set the vibe.
Yes, world music is very important to me. When I join a world, I typically don't change the music that is attached to it because I feel like the author of the world attached something to kind of build on that atmosphere, and something that they wanted to, for you to experience along with the world, so it goes with it. So definitely world music, setting that ambiance is really important.
I would agree. So, I guess, like, do you world hop often? Is that something you do for recreation? Or are you always hunting?
I do.
Okay.
I am. So I follow people on Twitter that take like really nice pictures, like photographers of different worlds. So I'm always looking for those, and then I'll save them and I'll go look at them. I also have like a VRC list playlist, where I add worlds to it, and then I can go and check those out. And then a lot of my friends obviously know my passion for seeing new comfy worlds and experiencing new things. So a lot of times I was like, hey, like, you want to hang out? You want to go jump worlds? And I found these, I saved these worlds for you to look at. So yes, it's a very prevalent thing that I do very, very often, especially when I like to do it at least twice a week, where I'm just by myself, just like experiencing worlds and looking for new things.
Interesting. So when it comes to world hopping, do you have well, actually, I'm trying to think. So do you have any sort of like so I'll preface with this. So I would love to do world hopping. World hopping seems like a lot of fun. It's actually one of the first activities that I heard of when I first got into VRC. So I'm pretty familiar with like the whole idea of like people just kind of do it for fun. It's a great time. People can see new things and go to new places. But I haven't really done it in a very long time. And the reason for that is I discovered in VRC that I have an unexpected type of fear. And it's a psychological one that it activates when I enter void spaces. And what that means is, I don't know if you know, but for those people who don't, it's basically when you enter a space that seemingly has no floor, or seemingly stretches out forever, or just doesn't have any manner of like it just seems so big or like so dark. So it can be like large with like white. It can be like a white space with like no walls or like no end, or it can be just like very dark and gloomy, where you can't really tell like where the floor is, or like it feels like you're like in an actual like abandoned place where there's like no one there, and that psychologically freaks me out. So that kind of hinders me from doing world hopping on my own, because I can't seem to get over the idea of like that fear. Do you have anything like that kind of like, obviously like you do a lot of world hopping, so do you have anything of that sort going for you, or you're just kind of like, just do it?
I really don't. I'm very lucky. I very rarely get like any sort of like motion sickness. I don't really have a fear of like open spaces or falling through the floor or heights or anything. So I'm very lucky in that aspect when I'm exploring worlds. I definitely run into worlds like that, and I guess in the back of my head I just think like, oh well, that's probably not one I want to really show anybody, just because that fear in general I feel like is pretty normal. It's like definitely something that a lot of people have. So yeah, I mean, I don't. When I'm exploring, the only thing that really do try to avoid is anything where it feels like it's kind of like closing in on you.
Oh,
Where
okay.
you feel like the space is becoming smaller. But other than that,
Okay. Yeah, that yeah, like moving walls. Yeah, that's pretty freaky. That's very, very freaky. So like you don't like, so you can go into like worlds that like, I know there's this there are a couple of like really like wonky type worlds where it's just mind-bending stuff. Like there are like buildings kind of like upside down and shit. Like I guess what kind of worlds are you typically looking for? I know you mentioned cozy before, but like what types of worlds are you typically like this is like the best thing ever type of thing?
so I'm not normally looking for anything like super crazy that's gonna blow your mind. It's not an experience where I'm looking for this world that's like got a bunch of intriguing, like different, like upside down buildings. Is not something that I'm necessarily looking for. What I look for when I'm going to worlds is beauty. I'm looking for that ambiance. I'm looking for that comfort. I'm looking for a sense of warmth. I want something that's a little bit more on the realistic side. I don't want to feel like I'm in a fantasy. I want to feel like I'm somewhere real. And I think that's really what I'm mostly looking for, is just a setting that it feels like I'm genuinely there. So when it comes to like lighting and stuff, like that's really important to me.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah. Like I don't think I've heard anyone really say that they search for worlds that lean towards the realistic, or that they feel like they're actually there. I think like most of the people that I've interviewed are saying like they feel like they're actually there when they're interacting with people. So like they have that sense of like present and being present when they are interacting with certain people. But I don't think I've ever heard someone say, oh, I go to worlds specifically to have it feel realistic. So I guess what is your relationship with reality versus fantasy? Like how do you feel a certain way about the two? Do you prefer one over the other? Like do you like reality? Do you like fantasy? I guess tell us a little bit about like what your thinking is there, and like why you prefer those types of worlds.
Well, I definitely think there is, beauty in fantasy. I think that experiencing something that you couldn't experience in real life is beautiful. I think, and VRChat has a lot of that to offer, and there are worlds like that I do enjoy. But I think for me, the reason why I'm looking for these like more realistic experiences is because when you take people to these worlds, it kind of helps with the immersion. I really like to feel immersed in what I'm doing. So if there's like floating fish going around, I don't really feel immersed. I'm gonna be honest. Like I don't think that feels real to me. I don't think that there's floating fish in real life. So I really enjoy those worlds because I feel like it makes the experience feel more real. But I do think that fantasy is beautiful, and that VRChat offers a lot of that. And I do enjoy those worlds as well. It's just, for me, I'm looking to experience these worlds in a way that is immersive. So that's what I'm looking for. So I do prefer reality. I do prefer to live in as much reality as possible.
Gotcha. So this kind of discussion about reality versus fantasy actually triggered a thought that I wanted to ask you before. I'm curious to know, because we're kind of gonna like double back to like a previous topic, but I wanted to ask, like, are people in real life in your life, like, do you experience the same sort of connection, or do people like read you, or like they like, like you have the warmth, you have the feelings of like you radiate this aura of warmth and kindness, and so in real life, is that something that you have to deal with as well, or are people like seeing that as well? Does that resonate with people in the same way that it happens in VR, or is it a different experience altogether?
I would say that the people in my life, they do get to experience this as well. This is definitely who I am. But I feel like in real life it is a little bit more guarded. You have to get a lot closer to me and spend more time with me in order to fully experience this. But who I am as a person is still there in your life. In my job, I am my title is a people specialist. I am the people specialist at my job. So I specialize with dealing with people. And so the reason why I was given that role is because of my caring nature and because of who I am. And yes, I still radiate this kindness and this warmth in real life. It's just a little bit more guarded, but it is still something that you can still experience.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I was curious to know if you had to deal with similar struggles that you've had in real life in VR, and that's a yes for you?
Yes, yeah. There are people, real life included, where they just want to experience your energy. They want to feel love. They want to feel that warmth. They don't really care about you any deeper than that. It's a very shallow connection. People in general can be very shallow.
Yes.
And so it is something that you have to look out for in any platform, in any way. And I would say in real life, I think it's even more common, honestly, where people are just there for the easy parts, the good parts, and they don't want to show up for anything deeper than that.
Yeah, and how does that make you feel? Like when people, when you come to understand, or that like you have this overarching understanding now of many people essentially wanting to experience just the good parts, like for someone like yourself who is very much inclined to seeing the best in people and looking for the best in people, how does experiencing that make you feel? And I guess how, like, because you look for the best in people and then they turn out to be shit. So like, does that make you upset? Does that make you angry? Like how do you kind of, I guess, process the understanding of evil and poor intentions, to put it lightly, in the world?
Well, I am not somebody who experiences anger as an emotion very often. I think that anger is it can be a very healthy emotion to experience, but it's not one that I find myself very familiar with. I find myself familiar with hurt and sadness, I think that when people don't desire to get to know me on a deeper level, or they just want to use me for the things that I have to offer, it really just goes down to hurt, because I would never do that to another person. And it is very, it breaks you down. I've had many conversations with people, with my friends who are very close to me, about how hurt I am because somebody didn't want to get to know me on a deeper level, or didn't want to connect with me any deeper than just the fact that, I am a nice, warm person who's easy to be around, who will give you affection. I am more than that. I am more than that. And, it hurts my feelings when that's not recognized.
So hurt never translates to a more intense version of that. It's interesting. And I see, but that's the thing that makes you so unique. That's the thing that is extremely rare about you. It's the fact that you tend to not resort to extreme negative emotion. You have an aura of intense positive emotion, but because of that aura that you have, you're generally not inclined to ever experience the intense negative side. And I think there are some people who would say that's kind of angelic in a way.
I really just try to, when it comes to negative emotions, when it comes to hurt, when it comes to anger, I don't enjoy experiencing those feelings. And so any way that I can, process them into growth, into understanding, that's what I try to do. So when I'm feeling hurt by something, when I'm feeling, angry by something, to me, that's just the drive to understand what the root of that feeling is, so that I can change or better, or, whatever needs to be done to not feel those things anymore. I really do enjoy being positive and radiating positive, and I want to be happy, not just for other people, but just for myself in general. I don't want to hold on to things. I don't want to hold negativity against me. I want to let it go. And I feel like the people who, we talked about this a little bit, the people who, they're sad and they're hurting, that shows up in the way that they interact with people. Those people that start drama, the people that ruin things for other people, those are people who are hurting. And so I like to release that energy, because I don't want to hurt others. If someone hurts me, my initial reaction isn't to go hurt them, and that'll never be what I want to do to somebody. So I like to try to reverse it into something of growth, and just let it go.
Yeah. I certainly do like the sound of that. I think that's what more people should do, honestly. Whether they are like yourself, who just translate the affront to pain, being able to take any sort of negative experience and translate it into something as a motivator to not only let it go, but also to become a better, stronger person. I think that's what more people should do. They be able to say, yeah, this shitty thing happened, but I'm going to take this experience. It's going to drive me forward and allow me to continue to become a stronger, better person because of it. And it's not going to hold me back. It's not going to be something that grows inside of me. It's going to be something that's going to 100% allow allow you to move forward and to keep going. And I don't think enough people do that. And that's why I like talking about these sorts of things, because I feel that I think a lot of people are like, they struggle with being able to process their emotions in a way that will be useful, that will be, that can be turned into something positive. Because like, I personally believe that negative emotion should be used to translate into something positive. It should be a motivator to be better, to do something better, not to hurt someone, but to use that as fuel to move forward. And I think a lot of people don't really know how to do that well. And I like having these sorts of conversations because it shows people that there are people like you and me who can do that sort of thing, who understand that idea. And that's why I love having these kinds of conversations, so people can like learn, you know? So I appreciate you. I appreciate you like being so forthcoming with like your experiences and how that's how you process those emotions, and how you still manage to have a heart for people and see the best in them. Which again, I can agree, and I do that too. I try to see the best in people, and I think that's what makes people like us so likable. Like we want people to be good. I just know that many people aren't. And it kind of sucks to kind of like always have that in the back of your mind. But I do love to see I prefer to see the good in people. And yeah, you're definitely a unique one, which I think is beautiful in the best way. So, to continue with the interview and everything, if you could build any world, if you could design a world yourself, what would your ideal world look like? Like in the palace of your mind, what kind of world would you want to build, Allie?
Well, I really like worlds with open fields, with lots of flowers. I like worlds that have mountains with a beautiful sky with stars. I enjoy worlds with campfires and a way to connect with people around a specific point. So I would say that I would want, a sort of like a very naturey world, very realistic. Flowers, grass, tall grass. But in the center is like a campfire with places to sit, and you can roast marshmallows. And there's like soft, cricket sounds. There's fireflies. It definitely would be nighttime. I love the night sky. I love to see shooting stars and just twinkling stars in the sky. The backdrop of mountains. And I know that there's lots of worlds that really capture this, but none of them do it just perfectly. There's really just something that I want to feel that I haven't quite gotten yet, that I'm still on the search for. But I did find a world really recently that almost got it right. Almost got it like so close to being right. And that was really exciting.
That's very, very, that's a lovely, lovely picture. I think that sounds like a world I want to spend time in. Sounds like a very relaxing space. And for someone like me who spends most of their time inside, I would definitely be down to experience, that nature-oriented world for sure. But yeah, that was really, really well described. So thank you for that, Allie. So let's talk about Dancing. Rave scenes. Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that.
Okay. Cool. So, tell me how you got into it. Aside from being a lover of music, which I'm sure ties into that, how does that all come together for you?
Well, I had met somebody who, had told me that they had gone to some raves, and I had never even been to a rave in real life, and it's something that I really wanted to experience. I still haven't gone to a rave in real life, but the fact that it existed in VR was so intriguing to me. So this individual introduced me to the rave scene, and the first one I ever went to was extremely gripping. It was a great set. I remember the DJ. His name is Wally. He's still one of my favorite DJs to this day. And after that experience, I saw people dancing, I saw people socializing, and I experienced a song for the first time that really made me feel music. And just the whole thing with the lights and everything. It was just a wonderful experience that I had. And the fact that I was experiencing it with this person as well was also really important to me. And that song that played that I really felt will always resonate with me. Once that happened, I couldn't stop. I just wanted to find more and more and more. When I saw the people moving around, I was half body at the time, just my headset. It made me desire to get full body. I wanted to be able to move like everybody else and dance and really immerse myself in that environment.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Most definitely I can relate to that. Like, like that was my motivator for getting full body as well. I wanted to be able to dance, and I didn't exactly get full body. It was gotten for me, to put it simply. And that person who got it for me, their interview is going to come out this month. If you know, you know. But yeah, so like having that experience is incredibly like visceral. To go to a rave for the first time, I think is extremely it's mind-blowing that sort of thing exists, and that people do, like, they actually run DJ sets, and they're creating moods, and they're able to utilize the lighting and just create an overall vibe. It's really magical in a lot of ways. That even in VR you can have those kinds of experiences. And it's very interesting because you've said that you're a very introverted person. Like you're a shy, sometimes meek individual, and yet you enjoy going to raves where people are dancing around and getting drunk more times than not, and just kind of having that kind of overall vibe. So I'm curious as to how you process that, how you understand that as someone who is inherently introverted.
Well, I'll be honest, I don't talk to a lot of people when I go to raves. I'm the kind of person who's like voices all the way down, music all the way up. I do enjoy to experience the world in the best way that I like, the way that it's meant to be. So I'll hide avatars. I want to see like the atmosphere, like the lighting, and run performance as far as like the world is supposed to be seen as it is. It's not really about the fact that there's people around me that's important. It's really the music and the feeling of feeling like I'm in a club, and the lights and everything. That's really important to me.
Okay, so it's the atmosphere, the atmosphere.
Yeah.
combined with the music that matters most to you, not so much the social interaction.
Yeah, I'm not a drinker. I do not drink very often. If I do, it's with close friends. Something that I do very, very, very rarely. So I'm not really into the drinking culture. I don't really want to cheers with people. I mean, I do tend to see like the same people at like the raves that I go to, but it really isn't a social thing for me at all. It's like a me thing. It's like getting lost in my thoughts and feeling the music and letting it take over my body.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that idea. It's a very, very, very strong idea. I think many people who are in the rave scene typically like have that sort of sense of like if they're there for the music, they're there for the music. But like a couple of times, like I don't go to every. There's a certain rave that I go to. It's called Saturday Rave, but I haven't really gone there recently because VR issues and such. But even before that, I wasn't really going a whole lot. But I do know that a lot of people who go there tend to, go there to socialize, and they're also there to support the DJ, of course. So like, I can definitely see how that would be, wanting to be there for the music. I think may not be the reason most people go to raves these days. I think people just like being around people. In a lot of ways, they enjoy the atmosphere of cheersing. Occasionally, they'll vibe to the music, but otherwise, they're just kind of there, seemingly so. This isn't for everybody, of course, but I would say, like, from what I've observed, many people are just kind of there to socialize and hang out with people and just have that experience of connecting with people. Since you're going there for the music, what kind of music that you do you enjoy? What kind of music do you vibe to most?
I really like EDM in general. I like house music. I like trance. And what I'm looking for when I go out is music that, it's not your normal club music. I don't really like D&B that much. I definitely can't dance to rhythm. So I'm just looking for something that makes me want to move my body. My favorite event is Refuge. And that's on Wednesdays. And that's something that I go to pretty much weekly.
Very cool. So music is definitely just like a part of your life. It's a big part of your life. It seems like it's something that you engage with. Is it the music, or is it the? Well, I mean, I guess we did kind of go over this. It's the atmosphere along with the music that really kind of does it for you. And
just like my worlds, when I'm looking for worlds, it's the exact same. It's an experience that I'm looking for. It's a very fitted experience, and not a lot of places get it right. Not a lot of worlds get it right. Not a lot of events get it right. So it's something that I'm looking for that's a very specific, tailored experience.
Okay, I getcha. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So So, do you have phantom sense?
You can't just come out and ask somebody that.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. What are you talking about? They still gotta respect your boundaries no matter what, but whether you do or not.
I don't initially. Random people like running through me or touching me doesn't really do anything for me. However, when I get close to somebody, when we build a relationship and we spend lots of time together, that's when I can start to feel like a warmth about it. I wouldn't say it's necessarily like feeling like their touch, but my body feels warm in places that they would, be touching. So I do, but not initially.
Yeah, and that makes like I'm actually very similar in that regard. I don't have phantom sense. I've tried to. I've talked to many of my guests about phantom sense and their experiences with it. And yeah, I also have that similar experience of just, I don't typically have it in general, but when I'm feeling very close to someone, when there's a genuine connection there, there's definitely a sense of warmth that arises due to that. So due to that closeness, which is incredibly it's nice. It's really, really nice to experience in a lot of ways, for sure. But yeah, it's very, very selective, extremely selective in that regard. So yeah, I mean, that's cool. Like I think a number of my friends have that kind of experience. It's very much of a particular thing with a particular person type of thing. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, it's good that we're similar in that regard. I don't think I've ever asked you that. Yeah.
I don't think so either. I don't think so.
Yeah. Now there are actually a number of things that I've not asked you. I don't want people to get it twisted. Like I've actually asked you a number of things that I've never asked you before. Right? Like, would you agree?
Yes. We've had many conversations in our time of knowing each other, but I feel like tonight you've asked me a lot of things that I really wasn't expecting, and I'm actually, really surprised that, there are things that we haven't touched on before. So yeah, you have.
Yeah, and there's still a little bit more. There's still a little bit more that I'd like to cover with you, for sure. So yeah. I'm trying to see if there's anything specific that I'd like to talk to you more about with regards to the rave scene and everything. But it's pretty straightforward in a lot of ways. Like the rave scene is just like you have people that gather, listen to music. It's a great experience. You dance, you vibe. Maybe you see someone that blah blah blah. Like, but I'm trying to see if there's like anything else that I may be missing. But I don't really think so. Like. Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward in that regard. So let's... Oh, go ahead.
I would say that the rave scene, for me, there is definitely something about being in a room with people and experiencing the same thing. I think that for the rave scene, that's a very unique experience. You guys, when you're in, this room together, experience the same music, experience the same feelings. I do think that's very unique to the scene. You really can't get that, anywhere else. And for me, while I'm not necessarily there to socialize, feeling surrounded, feeling like I'm in a crowd, a 1 in 80, that for me is very comforting. I know for others it's not. But for me, it's like there are 80 other people who are for me, it's like...
Oh. We lost your mic. Take your time, hon. Take your time.
Sorry. Yeah, there's 80 other people feeling the same thing that you're feeling. And to me, that's very comforting.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah, there's definitely something about that kind of vibe. When people are like genuinely there for the music, like when people are like they're there for the music, like that, like I think that's when like that kind of like otherworldly feeling happens. like when people go to music festivals and such, like that feeling of just like you're surrounded by people who are experiencing the same kind of emotions, because the music is just so good, and just kind of like it feels really, really kind of connecting. Like it's like people are we're like the idea of like we are one, like, you know, that concept I think really kind of shines through in those kinds of atmospheres, those types of scenarios where people are experiencing experiencing music in a way that they probably never had before, because they're surrounded by all these people and the emotions are high, and music just feels more powerful in those kinds of settings. So I can definitely relate to that. And the couple of times that it's happened, of course. But yeah. So I actually do want to kind of talk about, but I want to discuss. And this is somewhere I wasn't kind of thinking of going in this direction, but I think this would be very, very interesting to kind of explore. Your relationship with meaning and purpose, and finding, I guess, energy and passion in different kinds of media, different kinds of words. I'd like to hear, like, this is like completely like not what I was intending on going, but I wanted to understand more about, I guess, I don't want to say why you feel so connected to certain things, but for example, let me just paint an example for you to kind of get you on board with what I'm trying to say here. You have a saying in your Twitter bio, x.com, whatever you want to call the site now. It says, "Exist slowly, live softly." It's only 4 words, but someone like me who is very creative and actually pretty empathetic, I can feel the energy in those 4 words, and I feel that from what I've observed about you, there's a good bit of kind of there's a common theme with with certain words and certain lines and the way that you speak and just like the like emotion and like the meaning behind the words that you say, like I guess I would ask, where did that saying come from, the one that I just mentioned to you? And I guess why, what kind of what have you always been this way? This is a really like deep philosophical question, so I'm trying to find the words for it in real time. I would like to know, have you always had this very deep relationship with text and seeking meaning in words and things that resonate with you in that way? Has that always been a thing? But let's start with where you found that those 4 words.
Yeah, exist slowly and live softly is actually something that I found on a piece of art on Twitter. It is something that really resonated with me in the way that I like to experience life in general. I have gone through a lot of things in my life that should make me hard. It should make me, want to turn people away. That should make me want to be cold, and that is not how I like to live. I'm very emotionally based. I look for things that resonate with my heart, with my soul. To me, words, when put when put in a certain way, can be so beautiful. And they can really show you, what, like, they can make you feel something. Like, there's words that are just words, and there's words that make you feel something.
Yeah, of course.
For me, existing slowly is, taking your time, experiencing life, get to know people, you don't have to rush things, experience what is meant to be experienced, live softly. You do not need to take everything as an attack. It is not always meant to be against you. You do not have to harden when bad things happen. You can remain soft. You can remain positive. You do not have to take everything as, oh, woe is me. Oh, the world is so hard. Everyone experiences those hard things. Every single person has things going on in their life that are hard to go through. But it's really the way that you handle those situations that make the rest of your experience in life what it's going to be. I don't want one thing to ruin my whole life. I'm going to take it for what it is. I'm going to learn something from it. And I'm going to bounce back from it. And I'm going to remain soft.
It's definitely a lesson I think many people could take away. I think that's something people may know in their heart of hearts that that's the way to do it, but the world can be very unforgiving in a lot of ways, and it's difficult for people to maintain that kind of mindset, that resilience to continue on and to remain kind to people. And that's one of the things that has really struck me about you, how you've managed to remain kind and remain, caring towards people, even to the point of, making sacrifices of your own in that regard, because, you believe the best in people, despite how life has treated you. And, I'd like to know, how did you reach that conclusion? How did you personally get to the point where, you could not be cold and not be hardened towards, the atrocities of life and existence, and how do you maintain that? And have you always been that way?
I haven't. I grew up in, a household where there wasn't a lot of love. There wasn't a lot of affection, or just emotions weren't something that were acknowledged. And so for a long time, I hid those emotions. I tried to be as emotionless as possible, so that, one, I didn't have to feel terrible, and two, I didn't have to be hurt by people. And I think that what I learned is that it is inevitable that you will be hurt by people. It is extremely, extremely vulnerable to let anybody into your life. And that in most cases, even if you want to see the best in people, that there are bad people in the world. Yes, everyone has a little bit of good to them. I really do believe that. But there are people who just, there's nothing that you can do. They are the way that they are. But I don't want that to affect me. I don't want that to change me as a person. I do not want to change myself because other people are cold. Other people are mean. Other people don't know how to process their emotions. Other people are hurting. I I don't want that to change me as a person. And so I just try to take what people give, right? Whatever emotion that they're giving me, whatever they're giving me, I just try to return that with I take it in, I accept it for what it is, and I return it to them in the most positive possible way that I can. And only, there are obviously extents to that. I'm not gonna give my heart and soul to somebody who is just unable to receive it. There's only so much that you can do for people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like we're all going through something. We don't know everyone's story. We don't know what everyone's gone through. And the very least that I can do is be that person to them that was just like initially, warm, and that what they have going on has no effect on me. It's not my fault. It's not a reflection of me. It's theirs. And so everyone deserves like that kindness, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, I love how you framed that. Like, you chose not to allow your identity and your state of being to be affected by those who have wronged you. And I think that's a lesson I think people need to take away. I think I think a lot of people allow other people's actions to rule their life. They allow other people to dictate the value of their day. Obviously it can be difficult sometimes to like, if you're already in a bad place, and if someone does something to you, obviously it's just piling on top of what's already there. But in most cases, we don't have to allow the actions and the ways that we were treated wrongly to make us become terrible people, or to cause us to be unloving people. Because I 100% agree with you in the regards of, like, give people an opportunity to experience some level of care. I obviously do not have the same aura as you, the same aura of kindness as you, but I've been told that I do have another kind of aura. It's a different kind. But it still is the one. It's still something that I think people can resonate with. I think people, like you said, you don't know what people are going through, and to be kind to them, and just to be considerate, to be aware that maybe they're going through something, is incredibly valuable. Not many people think that way or perceive the world that way. They just think that, oh, this person is being a real asshole to me today. Like, and I think that's very, very short-sighted, very, very small-minded. Because, like, again, like, we're all going through so much. Like, life is challenging. There's a lot to overcome. There's a lot that people are going through, and it's important to be considerate and kind to people, because not many people are getting that. And that's likely the reason why people are so entranced by your aura as well, because you just naturally have that, despite having gone through a lot. Do you think that your experiences, your decision to not be shaped by the hardships that you faced, do you think that's why you've gained that aura, or has that always been there? Has it always been something that you've had to kind of deal with?
I think that it is something that comes from what I've gone through. I mean, I've had to be my own comfort, my own love. And I realized very early that you can't rely on other people really for that, like, that validation and for those feelings. And so, it came from having to overcome what I went through as a young child, and I think that my aura is one that I wear proudly as something that I have worked for. It was not easy to get to this point, but I'm here, and I'm grateful that I can look back and see that I did not let it overcome me. I didn't let it make me a mean, terrible person. That's something I'm extremely proud of. So it is earned. It is worked for. It is something that I work for every single day. It is, I'm not perfect. I make lots of mistakes, and I obviously, am not, I'm not always warm. But it's something that I wear proudly as an accomplishment.
I like that. Forged in the fires of misfortune. That's something I relate to extremely well. It was very similarly to you. Like a lot of like what I'm like, what I got going on is very similar. And you've had your trials, I've had my trials. Many people have their own trials, but it's what you do. It's what you do with those experiences that that refines you, that allows you to be a better version of who you were previously. And I think what you have and what I have and what I think a number of people can attain, and what I would like people to attain, is that sense of the divine spark, that sense of like they can be better and they can be more than what they think that they are. And I would truly love for people to adopt that line of thinking, to understand that, yeah, shit's difficult right now, but if you continue to push through, you continue to press on, you continue to use those experiences to make you a better version of yourself, and to fortify your mind, and to make you understand that, yeah, life is suffering, but there's so much more to it than that. And that life can be good. Life can be beautiful. There's beauty in the world. I think people being able to realize that and being able to hold on to those thoughts is what is going to help humans in general achieve a level of greatness and enlightenment that I think very few people can do. And it's a shame that so few people can. And I hope that more people can. I would like that to happen. I'd like for there to be more people like you and me who just naturally have these certain kinds of auras that people are drawn to, that people can respect and people find comfort in. And I think that's all very, very beautiful. I think that's a part of the human experience. And that's why I love doing these sorts of things. Why I love having these conversations, because connecting with people and allowing them to experience something new, something fresh, and to just have that mutual respect is, I think, something that's sorely missing in the human experience, especially these days. So yeah, I can definitely relate, and I love that you're able to convey that so clearly, that you are. That people don't just become like you. Like you have to work through it. You have to find your way through it, and come out on the other side. And that's what most people, I think.
Yeah, I mean, life is really what you make of it. There are things that you control, and there are things that you don't control. Mm-hmm. But it really depends on how you handle those things that you don't have control over. That's what's going to shape your experience. If you really let those things bother you, you don't let those go, you don't move past them, you hold on to them, you hold that negativity against you, that is going to be your reality. Whereas if you focus on the things that you can control, that being, you know, how you handle the world, how you see the world, how you feel, how you handle your emotions, you know, moving forward. You know, that's what's gonna make your experience better. But if you hold on to those things that, you know, you just, there's nothing that you can do about them, then that's all you're gonna be experiencing, is just that negativeness. And you're not gonna allow yourself the freedom to experience more.
Yeah.
To experience good things.
Yeah. Yeah, there is good in the world. There's a lot. There's a lot to love. There's a lot to appreciate. And I think more people should. But sometimes you have to be forged through the fire to truly attain that sort of experience and enlightenment and just mental fortitude to keep moving. So, but yeah, worry about the things that you can control. Don't worry about the things that you cannot. And it is truly how you adapt to the things that you cannot control that truly makes a person who they are. So, yeah, definitely on the same page in that regard, as we are on most things, for the record. So,
I know.
I know, it's funny how that works. So, speaking of, you know, through the fire and the flames, let's talk about community a little bit. So, I know a lot of people who are watching don't really know you individually. Maybe they've seen you around, maybe. But I imagine many people who may be a part of my community don't know you. So I guess what communities are you like truly like involved with these days? And I guess how did you get involved with you can talk about like one community that you got involved with, but you can talk about the other communities that you may be a part of.
I would say the most like relevant community that I'm in is Hell's Royalty, Dunny's server. He is a very, very good friend of mine, and is one of the first communities that I like find myself engaging with daily. Just everybody there is so very kind, and when they see you out or whatever, they approach you, they want to talk to you, they want to get close to you, and I think that, you know, I find myself making my circle smaller and smaller because, again, those boundaries that we talked about earlier, having a smaller circle definitely helps with protecting yourself, and I find myself very safe in that environment, and so I do spend a lot of time, you know, with those individuals.
Dunny's community is one that I too would consider myself, you know, I'm not like heavily involved in it, but you know, I'm present to a fair degree these days. I do agree that that Dunny's community and Dunny in general is very much he's a caring dude. He gets shit done. And like I love the irony of like, oh, everyone in Hell's Royalty is so kind. I love that. I love just that teensy bit of irony that like everyone in there is so nice. No, hell is a party, you know, because, you know, like, you know, some people think we're already in hell, but, you know, if that's the case, you better let's make a better one. Let's make one where we're always partying. Let's have a good time. Let's have fun with it, type of thing. Which I think that's really kind of the vibe that I get from Dunny's community. And like, it's great that you mentioned Hell's Royalty specifically, because Dunny was the first person I've ever met when I went to my first rave. First person.
Really?
Yeah.
That's actually really funny because Dunny was one of the first people I met at one of my first raves.
Yeah. That's wild. Yeah, he's just a super approachable guy. We're gonna boost his ego a little bit. He needs it every so often. But yeah, like.
But it's funny because Hell's Royalty is actually how we met because he had his launch party, and that's where I met you as well.
Exactly. That is exactly where we met around a month ago. And it's so funny how things just kind of like come together in the weirdest, most unexpected ways. I think that's why I love going to those sorts of things, because you never know the kinds of people that you'll end up meeting. You never know the kinds of interactions you'll end up having. And of course, obviously you just want to support the homie, of course. But there's always like other people there that you know or don't know, and it's incredibly wild that such a party, such a gathering of a very diverse groups of people will ultimately end up with you and I crossing paths. So I think that's it's really, really wonderful. Super I'm incredibly fortunate to have met you. And yeah, I
feel the same.
yeah. I'm.
And the fact that we're here now is kind of wild to me. Like, I definitely never expected it to turn out this way, but we're here now, and I'm just so grateful for the experience. And I never really found myself to be someone who was extremely specifically interesting, but the way that you ask your questions, the way that you phrase things, the way that you sum answers up, it really is such a beautiful thing to be sitting here, and it really is a wonderful experience. And what you do with your podcast is really, really beautiful. It really is. And getting to know the people in the community, whether it's just someone who's just a regular person like me, or someone who actually has a platform with a community back behind them, getting to look inside somebody and understand somebody for who they are, is a really beautiful experience. And there's no better place to do it than VRChat. You really do capture the beautiful part of VRChat, the best part of VRChat, that connection. In this podcast, and it really is just I'm just so grateful to not only be someone who consumes the podcast, who watches it weekly, but also to now be a part of it and be shown given the space to just talk about myself. And I don't know, it really is just a very unique and wonderful experience that you offer.
Well, thank you for that. That means so much to me to hear that from you. Truly, honestly, having you on the podcast was a no-brainer. Honestly, it really just you've opened my eyes to many things, and I am having met you has been quite. It's been quite the journey, just in a very short time. So to have you on and to be able to, have people get to know you, and even though you don't have a platform, I've had people on the podcast before who don't have a platform, who are just in general just your everyday VRChat player. I've had people on here before like that. So for me, it's not about having people on who have a platform. That's not my goal. My goal is to bring people on who I think are interesting, and to allow people to see how interesting that I believe that they are, and for me to maybe learn something that I didn't know before, because I believe that person is already fascinating in and of themselves. So to have you on, the kinds of ways that you perceive the world and look at the world is novel, uncommon, and incredibly fascinating. And I think a lot of people will walk away with something valuable and important because of the things that you've shared and the ways that you've rose to the occasion of answering my very deep, complicated questions. So, like, of course, having you on is just like, oh yeah, of course. So, thank you. But I do appreciate you coming on, for sure. But yeah, I guess we can kind of wrap up, honestly. Like, there's not much more I can, like, inquire about, but yeah, like, I think that's, like, a really kind of nice note to leave off on. Like, I'm glad to have you. Glad that you decided to come on, because again, you support my content, you watch my content, and now you are content, essentially. but in all seriousness, like, it's having you on has been a blast, and I sincerely appreciate you essentially helping me to get back into the swing of doing the podcasts. And obviously it's really, much more
really
than that.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's so nice to have you back. It's something that you really do have something very unique here, and I'm just happy to be a part of it in any way that I can be. So, thank you so much for what you do. You do beautiful things here.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you. That truly means so much to me, especially to hear from you. So, how about you tell people where they can find you?
Well, I do have Twitter. I don't tweet a lot of VR related stuff, but I have a Twitter. It's Alithe VR. But most of the time you can just find me, in Rave Worlds, or on VRChat in general, just Alithe. But that's pretty much where I'm at. I just, I'm be around listening to music and dancing around and, just being me.
Yeah. And that is perfectly all right. You being you. Absolutely. I hope there will be more people like you out there. But for what it's worth, yeah, there's clearly no one like you. We'll just kind of say we'll just say it like that. But if you'd like to find me, yeah, you can find me.
I'll follow you into the dark.
You're goddamn right. I would follow you into the dark as well. Your bright light would be sufficient for me. So you can, if you'd like to find little old me, if you like my content, you can find me at Nepherti, at on Twitch at Nepherti, and that's with 2 eyes. And you can find me on Twitter as well at Nepherti with 2 eyes. And also, you can find me on YouTube. Search Nepherti with 1 eye. And of course, please follow the podcast Twitter at Sweet Awking Pod. Definitely do that. There's only 1 T in that, so do search for that. But you can find me there. That's where you can find updates about the podcast and everything that's going on. It's very specific to the podcast. And yeah, you can definitely find me there. And of course, there is my Patreon if you'd like to support me and just be someone who'd like to see me do more of what I'm already doing. And also, I stream in 2D as well. That's a recent development. But by the time this comes out, I'll probably have already been streaming it for about 6 months or 5 months at that point. So, I guess there's really no reason to say that. But yeah, I don't just stream VRC. I also stream 2D now, and I probably will have evolved to some degree by the time this comes out. But we'll see. But all in all, Ali, thank you again so much for coming on the podcast. It was a wonderful time. So much fun to just sit down and talk to you. Just like we always typically do. So
it was definitely, an easy flowing, fun conversation, and you really did make me feel very, very comfortable and welcome, and really put me at ease with everything. So thank you for having me.
Of course. I always make sure that my guests are comfortable. They're always a little bit nervous at first, but but at the end of it, they're just like, wow, that was not hard at all. Because as I've always said, the hardest part is what I do. What I do is the hard part. You just gotta sit there and look adorable and answer the questions. That's really it. Like that's all you had to do, and you did it wonderfully. So thank you again so much for helping me to continue doing what I do as a content creator. And of course, thank you as always for your continued support of, just what I do as a streamer, content creator, so on and so forth. It really does truly mean a lot to me, what you do.
You deserve it. You really do.
Thank you. And so, with that out of the way, we will close out this episode of the Sweet Talking Podcast. I've been your host, Nepherti, and I've been joined by the wonderful, lovely Alithe, and we will see you in the next one. So I hope you guys will stay tuned. Please like, subscribe, and share with people that you like. And hopefully, if you enjoyed something about this podcast, please leave it in the comments. Let us know what you thought, if something resonate with you. Ali said many things that were very much on point tonight, so hopefully there was something that you can take away from this podcast. And most importantly, what I would love you all to take away from is that you should love each other and care for each other, because you never know what people are going through. So as always, we will see you on the next episode of the Sweet Talking Podcast. I hope you all will take good care. And, of course, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.